So, good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us. This is the second part of our series called Yes to Consciousness, and the topic for us today is the spiritual jargon that is misleading you. So, why do we have this topic, or what's the reason behind it? And first of all, thank you for all the amazing translators available and contributing to this series, and also for everyone who is joining us and listening or watching. So there are so many spiritual methods, and I'm pretty sure most of you have tried at least 1, 2, 3, 4, or even more of these methods. And there are so many ways in these methods, they sort of like try to define the same word. Like, for example, there is this thing of mind, which has a certain meaning, but it has a really wide sort of like a different way of definitions around the word. What is mind, or what is the soul, or what is the spirit? Also, there is this thing about the infinite being. And like, does it really help us? Like, does it really help the people to have a common understanding of what is happening? Like, what does it mean, consciousness? Even like there is consciousness, awareness, or intuition, all these words for, turning on your third eye chakra in order to have like become a clairvoyant, or to see things, or see aura. For example, what is the meaning of seeing the aura? Like, do you really have to see the aura, or that is the only best way, or the only good way of having consciousness or spiritual capacities, if you can see the aura? And there are so many methods how you can really reach these certain or different level of capacities. And but at the end of the day, why is consciousness so valuable or so important, and how can we get over all these different definitions that's in the area or regarding the topic of consciousness? And another part of the topic is that like, how many times people are using these spiritual words or definitions to mislead you, to sort of like give you something that that doesn't allow you to have clarity about it. Like, give you a definition that you don't have any tools to sort of like translate it to yourself. And at the same time, there can be different methods, and they could use different words for the same thing. So if you are in this world of so many different spiritual methods, what can you do? How can you have clarity about all the methods, or how can you start to have a common understanding, and at the same time a deep understanding of the different methods and the different tools of these methods? And like, it's not about the word, and it's also not about the definition, but what is the energy behind that? Like, let's say, if we would like to translate all these definitions, or if we would like to like translate all these different words into something that is meaningful for each of us, we need to sort of like connect to the energy behind the word. And at the same time, there is an energy of the speaker, like the person who is like telling you, what is this about? Or it can be like verbally, like spoken, but it also can be like written down. So you can also read a definition somewhere about a topic, and that can be something that you can connect to and sense the energy behind it. So, for example, what does it mean sensing the energy? Like, you have a body, and your body has a capacity to sense. Like, it's not just sensing what is showing up in your body, like physical sensations, like what your five senses are, but your body has a capacity to sense energy that is even not physical, or sense things that distance from the body. Like, it's in the different room, it is in a different area of the country, or different parts of the planet. Your body has a capacity to connect to things and show you like a response, and an energetic response about what is that thing that you connect with. And also your being, you as an infinite being, you have a capacity to sense, to perceive, again, from the distance, even beyond time. So you can connect to something that happened somewhere in the past. You can connect to something that didn't happen yet, like it will happen in the future. And you can have clarity about it. You can have a sensation, or you can have a perception about it. So everywhere you decided that you can only sense with your five senses, will you now destroy and uncreate all that? And everywhere you decided that like you have to train yourself for years, or even for tens of years, to be able to sense something that is beyond the five senses, will you also destroy and uncreate all that? And everywhere you decided that it's only the third eye, or the third eye chakra, that can help you to sense all the energies and all the things that are happening in the world, will you also destroy and uncreate all that? Because what if you could really have clarity about things, and you also have the capacity to translate what you sense? Because one thing is awareness, like sensing, like having a sensation, like someone tells you a word, or someone talking about a spiritual topic, and you have a sensation of that. But the sensation doesn't mean too much. It can be something that you feel comfortable or uncomfortable. You can have a sensation of energy running through your body, or energy or heat running through your hands, your palms, or you sense some activity in different parts of your body, or even at your chakras. But still, it's just an activity, it's just heat, it's just vibration. At the moment, it doesn't have a meaning to you. But you as an infinite being, you have the capacity to sort of like translate all the sensations and perceptions, whether it happens in the body, or it happens like it shows up in your being. It doesn't really matter. You as an infinite being, you have the capacity to translate it into something that is information. Because all of these sensations are different forms of information. Like energy is a different form of information, or vibration, or heat. It's a different form of information. And you have the capacity to connect to it, to stay present with it. And as you stay present with it, and like presence means is that you have a willingness, you connect to it, to what you sense or what you perceive. And you, as let's say, as a scientist, you are just functioning from the space of question, the space of no points of view, from the space of curiosity, like what it can be, like with no judgments, no expectations, no definitions. And you simply sort of like allow yourself for that sensation to be translated into information. The information also can have many forms how it shows up for you. Like it can be like a sentence that jumps into your mind. Or it can be like you have a vision, or you can hear a voice, or you can see like a picture on the wall that suddenly has a meaning that helps you to translate the energy that you just sense or perceived. So it's a lot of people think that like having clarity about something, it always have to be like a clearly audible sentence or something that they can see in front of their eyes. But each of us have a different way and many different ways of how we translate from these sensations into information. So are you willing to have this capacity? Are you willing to use these capacities? Are you willing to have ease with your translation capacity? And it has a lot to do with that, you know, our primary language is energy. In different words, I would say our primary language is all the different forms of information. Like we are living as infinite beings, even if you have a family, you have children, you have friends, you are living and functioning in information systems, in a sense that you, your partner, your husband or wife, your children or your parents, you together, you create a group, an information group. And in that information group, you share information with each other. But the same way at your workplace, you connect to all the people, your bosses, the people working around you, the people working in different areas of the business. You simply just connect to all of them, and you all share the same information system. So you all have a capacity to sort of like impact that organization. You all have a capacity to pick up information from all different areas of that organization. You have the capacity to pick up information from all the other family members you have, like from your parents, from your cousins, from your grandparents, from your brothers and sisters, your partner family members, ancestors, even from people who passed away, because in many ways, we are forming like information systems. And everywhere you are a member of an information system, suddenly this grants you access to it. And in that sense, when we call ourselves and we choose to function as an infinite being, it's like an everything including, or everything and everyone including information system. It's like you have access to all the systems in all the world. It's like, imagine that there is a cloud that, you know, these cloud systems where they upload data, where everything is recorded. So like imagine that there is this space of all information that you have access to. So there is no such thing that you couldn't translate, or you, because you don't have information to it. Because actually as an infinite being, you have access to all information beyond time and space. And simply just because you have access to it, and if you sort of like recognize this capacity that you have, you can start to really translate anything and everything that you see around you. It really allows you to be able to read all this information, whether it's energy, whether it's a symptom on your client, have the capacity to have clarity about it and receive that information. When you receive, let's say you have a client and they have an illness and you start to receive information about it, it doesn't mean that you will take over their illness. It only means one thing, that you receive information with no points of view, no expectations, no judgments, and you simply just start to connect it to the whole universe's consciousness. You as an infinite being, you have access to consciousness, not just what is consciousness today, but all the information that showed up in the past or in the future, so beyond time, and also in all different dimensions. So as an infinite being, you have access to your past lives as well, and also you have access to your future and all the other bodies you had in different lifetimes, all the things that happened in that lifetime or in other countries, or all the things that people are talking about in other spiritual methods. Just because this is the first time you hear about a spiritual method, it doesn't mean you couldn't access all the information, all the data about it. You can. And that really allows you to have clarity about the different words and the different methods, the different meanings behind it. Because you have access to it, and all of this connected to consciousness. So let's say the best key or the best ticket that you can have that grants you access to everywhere is choosing to function as an infinite being. Choosing to function as an infinite being with yourself, with your body, with your clients, at your workplace, in your family, while you are driving home from your workplace, or anywhere you go in any part of the world at any time. So anything that doesn't allow you to function as an infinite being, anything that doesn't allow you to have access to all information, will you now destroy and uncreate for all eternity. And everywhere you decided that it is not right to access information, that it is not right to receive information and have clarity about what is happening, or to have clarity about who's doing what, or why your client have that actual illness. So will you now destroy and uncreate and return back to the sender? Like all the different, let's say, rules, laws, and regulations of different spiritual methods that is sort of like misinterpreted, that sort of like creates a limitation in your awareness and translation methods, will you now destroy and uncreate? Anything that, everything that you made vital, valuable, and real about translation, about accessing information, will destroy and uncreate all that. In other words, are you truly willing to, and are you truly choosing to have continuous access to everything that can show up in the world? That everything was ever created and found out and generated in this whole world, in all lifetimes. Do you have any question so far? Or if you have any question, feel free to type it into the chat box, and we can go into that direction of the topic. So actually, what is the purpose of consciousness in this sense? Like, are you willing to like create a greater life? Like, are you allowed to use the tools of consciousness? What does it mean, tools of consciousness? Maybe that's another question. Like, what happens if someone is smarter than someone else? Like, is it fair to be smart? Like, is it fair to have capacities that others don't have? Let's say maybe your brother, when he was 8 years old, he was already knew how to ride a bicycle, and you were just 3 and you didn't know how to ride a bicycle. But you were choosing, like it was really inspiring you. It was really inviting you. It was really exciting for you to learn how to ride a bicycle. Like until that moment, you learned how to ride a bicycle. It looked like it's unfair that your elder brother has this capacity and your elder brother can, you know, ride that bicycle and go ahead much faster than you could run with your 3-year-old body. But over time, you were choosing to have these capacities to learn how to ride a bicycle. So let's say that advance wasn't unfair anymore. It only looks unfair to have more information, more capacities, if you look at it from that very moment. In that very moment, if you don't see what other people did in order to have those capacities, to master such capacities, like it may look like it's unfair. But if you look at them from that perspective of all and so many lifetimes that they had so far, and what and how much effort they put into having these capacities, then it may sound totally different that, oh my God, they did it. They invested so much time, energy, and effort. Maybe they invested so many lifetimes into it to have these capacities. And it's something that's available for each of us. Like the possibility to learn and develop yourself or develop spiritual capacities is not locked away from anyone. Each of us have the capacity and have the possibility to learn it. It's not just you have a possibility, but also on top of that, you have your own capacity as an infinite being to master these capacities. In other words, it is becoming more and more conscious of how you can sort of like access information. It's up to you how you use it. It's up to you what is your point of view, what is a fair usage of consciousness. There are no limitations. You can use all the information. You can use the information anytime during your lifetime, even beyond your lifetimes or in between lifetimes. You can use it for anything. There is no right or wrong. Like we create points of view, what is right or wrong. But you, as an infinite being, you are free to use all information, all kinds of energy, and all your capacities that you are mastering. So everywhere you decided it is a wrongness or it is unfair to have clarity about capacities, to have clarity about consciousness, to know more than others, or to use it for your life, to create even more possibilities or create an even greater life, or to create more money, will you now destroy and uncreate? Destroy and uncreate and revoke, recount, rescind, reclaim, renounce, and denounce all the ideas where you decided it's unfair to use it. It's unfair to have this kind of advance. And all the spiritual methods where you had to make any kind of promises, oaths, vows, fealties, communities that you will never use your knowing, your consciousness in certain situations or for certain purposes. So will you now revoke, recount, rescind, reclaim, renounce, denounce, and destroy and uncreate all of that for all eternity. Like everywhere you decided or you had to sort of like promise that you will not use it, but you now destroy and uncreate all that. Okay, and I see there is a question in the chat box. So the question is that all of this is understandable, how it's explained, but I cannot imagine how to use it practically. And could you give an example, maybe some historical event? So one of the things is how to use it. Maybe it sounds weird. Let's say I use the word unfair, but it's about, here is an example. Did you ever connect to your child? Like, do you have a child or do you have a partner? Do you have a brother or sister? Is there anyone who sort of like, for some reason, belongs to you or dear to you? So when you think of these people, or even that can be your pet, when you think of them and you feel like they belong to you, you sort of like give access to yourself. Sort of like you give up your limitations that you are not allowed to read information, to access information about that person or about that pet. So this is sort of like a first step to give yourself permission to access someone else's information. So what you say that because this person or because this animal belongs to me and I need to look after them, I need to know what's happening to them. Let's say if you have a child, as a mother or as a father, you have all kinds of points of view that this child belongs to you, dependent on you. Therefore, you have the right, you need to know what's happening. Imagine that with a child, like that baby is growing up inside your body for 9 months, and you sort of like, I would say most of the mothers are continuously communicating with their children, with their baby. And they just keep communicating even after giving birth. Because in the first period, until the child sort of like learns to talk in a way that people could understand. So until, and for most of the children, it can take up to age 2 or 3 even, sometimes 4. Like the parents really dependent on their, maybe it's a stupid word, their awareness or their sixth sense. It's not a sixth sense, it's your consciousness, but you give yourself permission to be able to read their mind, to be able to read their body, their whole energetic field. So as a starting point, just if you connect to someone, allow yourself and give yourself permission to access all of their information, even to read their mind, even to have access to things that they want to keep as secret. And if you stay present with the person, like you allow yourself to sense their energy, sense their body, sense their being, and it doesn't really matter how far they are. So distance is not a question, it's not a problem. You can think of someone, connect to someone, and stay connected and present with them. And as you practice this longer and longer, you start to build up your capacities. You give more and more permission for your capacities to come to the surface. Your capacity to know about the person, your capacity to read their mind. And how it shows up for each of us is different. It can be similar as well, but there are so many ways, so it also can be different. as I mentioned, for some people, they see colors, they see aura. For some people, suddenly when they think of their child, they know it, whether they feel good, they feel bad, they became sick, or they are in trouble. I bet, like, if any of you is a parent, you had so many situations when you sort of like, you had this sensation that someone who belongs to you is in trouble and they need help. They need your attention, they need some kind of a contribution. So actually it's over time, if you keep practicing it with all kinds of people, not just with your children, it starts to become more detailed, let's say more colorful, what you can sense. And it also speeds up the whole process of transforming that sensed energy into information. Like, for example, you think of your friend and you just sense like heaviness, or you just sense some light, or you just sense something in your belly or in your shoulder, or some parts of your body. And as you keep practicing, keep going back, keep doing it over and over again, you start to have more and more clarity. The information starts to be much clearer after. All right. Do we have any other questions or anything or any area you would like to look into or go into? So how many lifetimes we had sort of like mastered these capacities? And what's the purpose that we have to start it again? Do we really have to start it from scratch in each and every lifetime? Or why don't we remember what we have achieved in past lifetimes? Like, is that a misbelief? Is that a belief that is sort of like misleading us? Is that a teaching that is misleading us? Like, how many teachings are there, even that there are no past lives, or there is only one lifetime? Or how many teachings are there that you are not allowed, or it's better for you to not remember what happened in past lifetimes? So everything that it brings up will now destroy and uncreate, and all the lies, limitations, judgments, projections, and expectations, and secret agenda about lying to people about their spiritual capacities, their consciousness, like accessing information. Like everywhere that someone was lying to you and you bought into it, will you now destroy and uncreate all that and revoke, recant, rescind, reclaim, renounce, denounce? Everywhere you decided that you have to rely on such people, or for whatever your reasoning was, to sort of like rely and keep functioning from their lives, from their reality, from their points of view. Maybe they were your parents, they were your leaders, they were like a spiritual leader or a priest. Will you now revoke, recant, rescind, reclaim, renounce, denounce, and destroy and uncreate, and eliminate and eradicate all of that for all eternity, from your being, from your body, and from all the different dimensions where you ever existed or lived? So all the limitations that are sort of like giving you fake information or misleading information about who you are and what capacities you have. Like, for example, in the Bible, when they say that Adam and Eve was eating from the the tree of knowledge, which, so they ate that apple and they become, so conscious. But technically what happened after they ate the apple they started to look at each other and they see like, and was ashamed, and they were judging themselves and each other that, hey, you are naked and you are naked as well. And they became shy and ashamed. And so it wasn't about the tree of knowledge, because before that they didn't have a point of view about being naked. Before that it was all okay. And even in the Bible they say, if you eat from the fruit of this tree, your life starts to be so terrible, so hard, like full of hatred and problems and pain and suffering, emotional and physical suffering. Because actually what happened, that they were eating from the tree of judgments. This is, let's say, the starting point of all judgments. Because from that moment, they were hiding each other or hiding their body parts, and they were judging each other. And then, as per the story, they had to leave heaven. Of course, if there is a place where there are so many conscious beings, they don't like those who are so judgmental, like they become judgmental. So anyway, what could change in our life, in our whole lifetime, and for the next generations, if we would allow ourselves to receive information, to have access to consciousness, if we would get rid of, eliminate all the spiritual misconceptions and lies that are sort of like holding back people from having ease and joy. So let's destroy and uncreate it worldwide. All the lies, all the misbeliefs, all the misinterpretations of consciousness, of spirituality, of knowing, and everything that doesn't allow us for all eternity to get rid of it. Can we just destroy and uncreate and return back to the sender? Like all the ones in the world, all those leaders, whether they are spiritual leaders or any kind of leaders, all the people who don't want others to have consciousness. Because if you are too smart, if you have too many tools and too much power, like if you are too conscious, then they cannot control you any longer. So what change could show up if we now totally destroy and uncreate all these programs, all these algorithms, all these secret agendas against the consciousness on this planet and against the human beings or the infinite beings on this planet. So we destroy and uncreate all that, even if you were part of maintaining it, even if you told some, like, let's say, fake information to yourself, to your child, to your family members, even if you were truly believing it because you also bought into it. So no matter what you have done or in which way you were part of it, can we just destroy and uncreate all that for all eternity, worldwide, on this whole planet, like removing all the implants, energetic and structural, physical implants from the whole planet and all different dimensions of the planet, all the implants of misleading spiritual information, which, let's say, fake news, or other words, deep fake. So all the fake news on the planet about consciousness, all the fake tools or exercises, all the lies about consciousness that are misleading people and limiting their capacity to develop, to become more present, more conscious, and actually everything that was disempowering the people's spiritual growth, let's destroy, uncreate, eliminate, and eradicate now for the whole planet, beyond time and space, right now. Okay. Drop for that 1, 2, 3. So let's destroy all of that from the past, all these efforts that was done against all humanity to keep human beings limited, give them in lies. Let's destroy and uncreate it for all eternity. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And for 4, let's create a totally different future, like a future where we have more space for consciousness, where we can spread consciousness with total ease, where consciousness can reach everyone, no matter on which continent, in which country they live, no matter whether they are women or men, no matter if they are young or elder, or if they are, what is their spiritual belief, or what is their religion, or what is the color of their skin, or where they have been born, or what they have done. Let's allow and invite everyone to have access to their knowing, to their own consciousness, to the consciousness of the whole universe. So let's invite them to have access to all the tools and the possibility to develop their consciousness. For 4, like create that different future, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And also all the algorithms that are sort of like creating the limitations, all the algorithms that are the lies by themselves. So let's create an algorithm interrupt. So if you have some laptop and any electronic devices around you, just put a cover, like an energetic protection on these. By your choice, it happens right now. And let's drop 5 on all these algorithms, like all the algorithms of lies to get interrupted and broken. So all those systems that are based on limiting consciousness on the planet, let's remove it for eternity. Let's break the course of it, all these tracks. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. So, and thank you so much for joining today, and not just for joining, but being part of it, being the contribution for creating a different future. So thank you again, and wish you to receive all the contribution that you are choosing to have for your future. So thank you, and have an amazing evening, and see you next time. We are coming 2 weeks later, in the next 2 weeks, like fortnightly, with the next topic, and looking forward to meet you again. And please bring your questions. We will inform everyone about the new topic. Thank you again, and see you, and bye. And thank you for the amazing translation, for all the amazing and beautiful translators. Thank you. See you. Bye-bye.